The United States of America now, under this current fascist regime, is the most insecure superpower on the planet. So the fragile ego of our dementia-ridden president extends to American policy now. This is so insane, Pumps. I'm sure you probably read it, but we have got to discuss how asinine, idiotic, and insecure this new policy proposal is. Pop this up. The Trump administration plans to require all foreign tourists to provide their social media histories from the last 5 years to enter the country, according to a notice published by the Federal Register. I think we have the Olympics coming up. I think we have the World Cup coming up. This, to me, is like, if I was going to North Korea, I would expect something like this. But this is just so insane and draconian and bizarre and insecure. And it reeks of like little dick energy and being codependent, toxic, and nosy. What's your take, Pumps?
Well, I think that these people have such thin skin and they're the fuck your feelings crowd, but they get their feelings hurt over everything. And what it boils down to is they don't want anybody in the United States that doesn't fluff kinks. They want everybody to be like, oh, he has big hands. He's probably great in bed. He doesn't have a nubbin. His hair looks good. His makeup looks good. They do not want criticism. And in my mind, the reason they don't want criticism is because they know how deplorable they are. They know how badly they're fucking everything up.
And I think it could even go deeper than this, that surface level. And I believe everything you just say to be true. But I also think behind this regime, you have a bunch of technocrats, tech bros that want to be autocrats. And their number one thing they want to do is have information on everybody. As you dig deeper into this reporting, they also want the names of your family members and other personal details about your life. And so is this an effort by these Palantir, Peter Thiels, to get information about Europeans? Because mainly these are requests for people that are a visa is not required. So you have like UK, France, Japan, etc. Is this a desire for them to make a note? And they already have all of our stuff via Doge, to start mining information about pro-democracy Europeans. So they have this massive Gestapo list of who is for freedom. And we all know that the technocrats are not for it. So I think there's a superficial reason for it. And then I think there's a kind of darker, nefarious reason for it. But also this, Pumps. I mean, you and I grew up in a Republican state. And if we've heard it once, we've heard it a million times. Fiscal conservative. I vote my pocketbook. I care very much about being fiscal, all of these things. And so these MAGA policies, and this just doesn't get enough coverage, they always wreck the economy. Yep. Here is a graph, Pumps, that came out before this federal registry suggestion. So here's the number of Europeans traveling to the U.S. has cratered under Trump. And for those of you that are listening, not watching, it shows 2024. And then it shows a complete faceplant from 2025. And this is before this announcement that I read at the beginning of this episode. And so imagine how much lower all of this is going to be. And what's interesting about a lot of this stuff is, number one, part of Trump's business, and I use this word very begrudgingly, empire, is hospitality. Right. And this is a huge, like if you think of Las Vegas and you think of the tourist industry, hotels, resorts, restaurants, events, etc. This has such a long-term damaging effect, because if you and I were going to go to France and they said, okay, we need your social media for 5 years, I go, you know what? Fuck it. There's a lot of other places to go in the world. I'm not going. I'm not giving that country. That's psychotic.
Well, but here's the deal. I think that's the hallmark of the Trump regime. It's just idiotic, ridiculous, free speech squashing behavior. And I hadn't even thought about the technocrats because, like you said, Palantir has all of our information. Thank you, Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Are they wanting to track other pro-democracy people? I mean, that is a fantastic move. But what strikes me is, where's the pushback from the Europeans? Where's the pushback on the Olympics? Where's the pushback on the World Cup? Because we're supposed to be welcoming all these people. And we have Kristi Noem standing up saying, oh, well, we're going to arrest people. You have other people that are going to spend money to come here. And in terms of the hospitality, do you notice like Trump gets in Scotland and Ireland when he's over there, they're protesting Trump as a cunt. All those signs are there. But where he's getting big investments and plans to build new hospitality centers is in the Middle East, because they don't believe in human rights either. They don't believe in free expression either. So I love that analogy. I was only looking at it surface level, but it's very, very persuasive.
Okay. And then as we move along in this news cycle, I think that I want to talk to you guys about something that we need to keep an eye on. There is a point right now where the oligarchs and the technocrats are just that. And then you have the Democratic Party, which the base is moving away from the establishment and saying, we don't want you to be beholden to corporations. And then you have MAGA, which is also fracturing. And you have people like Tucker Carlson, who is a horrible, horrible person. But sometimes bad people make really good points. And in the MAGA far right movement, you have people that are also anti-oligarch, anti-monopoly. So right now, as painful as it is, I'm going to play a clip for you all of Tucker Carlson and remind you that sometimes bad people make good points because the points are so good that they're universally true. So play this clip, Kylie.
Like Bill Ackman, same thing. Bill Ackman's worth like $8 billion or something. It's fine. I don't care if whatever Bill Ackman does, but I know Bill Ackman, he's kind of dumb. He's not ever created anything. He's totally non-creative. How do these people wind up running our biggest institutions? And the reason that's significant is because if you pay close enough attention and you realize that the people running everything are stupid, then you think, well, actually, the system is truly rigged on behalf of people who do not deserve these positions at all. It's not just that I disagree with Barry Weiss or she's calling me names or I'm calling her names or whatever. It's like in no fair system, in no meritocracy would Barry Weiss rise above secretary. Like actually, and I mean that. I've been in this business since Barry Weiss was breastfeeding, okay? There's no world in which Barry Weiss rises to the top of a news network except a rigged world. That's it. Does that make sense?
Okay. So we need the Democrats, the Democratic messaging. There is a huge bipartisan anti-oligarch promoting dipshits to positions that they are not qualified for. Hegseth, the president, and on and on. I mean, everybody in that cabinet. That seems to be bipartisan and universal. So some people are going to automatically vote Republican, no matter what. That's just who they are. But to the people independents and then getting the base to come out, there's a difference between where the Democratic base has moved and where Tucker Carlson has moved, because I want to remind you, as sometimes you see in your algorithm, you'll see a clip from Tucker Carlson. You'll see a clip from Nick Fuentes. You'll see a clip from Candace Owens. All three batshit crazy, all three bigoted. But sometimes assholes have moments of clarity. And I want to remind you, when we see Tucker make a point, a good point, it's a really good point that he just made, that he also would agree 100% with this guy right here. And this is a MAGA right-wing pastor named Joel Webbon. And when the right gets mad at you because you call them fascist or you call them Nazis, remember that this guy right here really speaks to the heart of their political ethos. Play this clip.
Homosexuality is degenerate. It is bad for the populace. It's bad for society. It's been incredibly harmful. We've seen a full court press against our own children as the sacrificial lamb in order to appease older gay men and make them feel better about themselves. It's wicked. It's predatory. And I think, it is appropriate for us to be able to call it what it is and say, wait a second, this is perverse, it's wicked, it's and it needs to stop. I think that that's okay. Yes, you can use that word on occasion, as I just did.
Okay, enough from him. So what my point with this is how dangerous the way everybody receives their news right now.
Yeah.
And so you can hear, because you see a cat and a cute puppy and then Tucker Carlson making sense and then some vacation spot. That's how we receive news mixed with like pop culture and hobbies or creatures that we like. And in that tent, in that MAGA tent, that homophobia lives there. And that's why the Democratic base cannot ever abandon any groups, human rights, period. Because once you abandon one group, you leave all of the other groups vulnerable. And Tucker Carlson, we played in an episode last week with Piers Morgan, was FAGGOT, FAGGOT. I think he said it like 10 times in a row. So he's not going to be particularly offended by Joel Webbon. And Joel Webbon is going to be welcomed into the MAGA base. And so I don't know exactly how the Democratic primaries are going to turn out. I'm hopeful that all of the corporate Democrats are primaried and that they lose, completely get their asses beat, and we have a new generation of economic populist and pro-universal human rights that win across the board, because that level of hatred, it's so awful and it's so mainstreamed now because of Trump.
Absolutely. It's been emboldened and empowered. And I hear him and I think, motherfucker, go look at the churches. That is where children are being sexually abused. And I have every single day on my feed, it's different MAGA people that have come out against sex trafficking and all this stuff. And they are being arrested for sex crimes or possession of sex material with children. These people talking about it all the time, they're the ones you need to watch. And what else is mainstream in this party is Pete Hegseth's pastor that says women shouldn't be allowed to vote. You had Charlie Kirk saying civil rights, we don't need it. You have this guy. So all these MAGA women, they need to turn around and look. They are going to go against your daughters. They're going to go against your sons if they turn out to be non-binary or homosexual. Obviously, Black and brown people, they've been on the chopping block forever. But I mean, this movement only has room for white men and white rich men. And if they're calling the Pope the Antichrist, even fucking better, because the only thing they worship is capitalism and each other. Listener, I have the best Christmas gift advice that I've ever had. I've done it for my own family, and everyone in my family loves it. And that is the Aura Frame. Aura Frames are a digital scrapbook of all your activities throughout the year, and you can pre-download it before you give it to your loved one or friend. They have unlimited photos and videos that you can upload. You can preload before it ships. You can personalize your gifts. It is a great way to see what all you did and for your family members to be a part of your life. For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using promo code IHIP at checkout. That's Aura Frames, AURA frames.com, promo code IHIP. This deal is exclusive to listeners and frames sell out fast. So order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout.
I completely agree with you, Pumps. And I also think I've been thinking a lot about like how we got here. And it's very easy on the surface to say Trump emboldened all of this, blah, blah, blah. But when you really, really think about it, it's the way we have failed to completely reconcile our racist past with genocide and enslaving people, and the way Black Americans are continued to institutionalized and systemic racism is still so prevalent before Trump ever descended down the escalator, and all of the worship of money. And the more and more I think about some of these corporate Dems that want to throw certain groups of marginalized people under the bus, the madder I get about it, because I think that mindset feeds and affirms for the Joel Webbons and for the Tucker Carlsons. If you hear Rahm Emanuel say he's going to throw trans people under the bus, or you hear Governor Newsom, who's doing a really good job fighting right now, but he did have Charlie Kirk on his podcast before his murder, and threw trans people under the bus. And he didn't need to do that. That's trying to curry favor with bigots. And so whenever we see politicians, whether they're Democrats or Republicans or independents, trying to curry favor with bigots, you have to understand, if they're bigoted towards one group of people, why stop there? Why do you stop there? You don't stop there. You either believe in universal human rights or you don't. And as depressing as all of this has been, I wanted to leave you with a quote that I saw on X that I thought was just fantastic. So let's read this together. Agent Self FBI says, MAGA isn't drawn to Trump because he's smart or competent. They're drawn to him because he tells uneducated, insecure, angry people that their stupidity and ignorance is actually strength. He gives them a script where nothing is ever their fault. Blame immigrants, blame elites, blame Democrats, blame anyone except the person in the mirror. He turns racism and sexism into a political identity. He makes being uninformed feel heroic, and MAGA eats it up because it saves them from having to grow, learn, or change. They don't want leadership. They want validation for being ignorant, and Trump gives it to them every single day. And sometimes I think there are so many great thinkers on the internet right now, and it's important to highlight people that just cut through this and see this for exactly what it is. At the end of the day, Trump embodies this intellectual laziness that people have. When your whole entire social life is church-centered and Bible study centered, and no disrespect to any Christian light people who don't weaponize their faith against people, but in really, really MAGA counties, that's the only thing that they read. It's the only culture they get. And we have these beautiful minds, and Trump and MAGA enables and validates this really rigid black and white worldview, and it causes people to get upset or angry at the idea of emotional or psychological evolution. They get very irritated by it because it's painful for them. It's painful for them to grow. And so I thought that was a really good quote. I want to apologize personally on behalf of I've Had It podcast to all of the people who would like to travel to the United States of America. Apparently our doors are no longer open. Please know that the majority of Americans hate our fascist, Nazi-esque style regime. We think Trump is a moron just like you do, and we are humiliated and grieving the good parts of our country. All right. Last minute stocking stuffer idea. Let's have Pumps model it as well. Life is a lazy Susan of shit sandwiches. Like, subscribe, comment. We'll be back later with probably some more depressing news.
It's not getting better.
No.